Writer Jeph Loeb and artist Tim Sale were one of the more popular creative duos during their time. Prior to Sale's passing, they had worked on various stories for DC involving Batman, Superman, or characters closely related to the two. On the Marvel side of things, they had their color series between the 2000s and 2010s, mostly because of delays as far as the one going into the 2010s is concerned. Released in 1995, the story is a 4-issue miniseries about Gambit and Wolverine in London investigating a string of murders that are being compared to the Jack the Ripper case. Wolverine becomes the red herring of the series, but has no memories of any of the events that have happened prior, and we go on a somewhat mystery-like journey trying to find out who is behind this. The story falls right in line with the big trope that Loeb loves to do, seeing things like Batman The Long Halloween, Hush, and to an extent the Red Hulk debut in his Hulk run. This was created slightly before Long Halloween, so maybe this is what kind of kickstarted the idea of mysteries in his mind. Visually, the book is great, as one would expect from Tim Sale. All the characters look cool in his signature style, although it's a bit more conventional than some of his later work. It makes me wish we had more of these characters from him, specifically Gambit. I really like how his Gambit looks. The panel layout is very dynamic throughout the entire series, be it allowing negative space to highlight certain aspects of the story, the panels being similar to playing cards in some case, like when Gambit is just about to take some of them out, having items fly outside of the panel into the negative space, be it cards, glass, or even blood coming from the border of the panel at one point. The part where things fall short, though, is the story. The mystery aspect of this is very thin, and if you're somewhat familiar with X-Men villains, you'll automatically know who's pulling the strings and how. The villain also gets a slightly edgy 90s touch-up. It's nothing too crazy, but if you're a really big fan of the villain, then you will potentially be disappointed in this portrayal. The reaction to Wolverine being framed isn't really treated as that big of a deal. It is in the moment, of course. Gambit is surprised, but they end up kind of just going with the flow and moving past it, since we have what I assume, because we have a very limited amount of time at least. Nobody in the story really has much of an arc. Despite his name coming first for probably marketing reasons, Wolverine doesn't really have much going on in the story, since we mostly follow Gambit throughout the first, I want to say, half to 3/4 arguably. There isn't even much of them actually investigating the mystery, and they end up being taken to the villain's headquarters while they are experiencing these psychic-like visions. I don't want to say it completely fails, since the premise is pretty interesting in my opinion, and at least the setup until we start getting involved with Wolverine, I think is intriguing, since, Gambit doing stuff like this isn't necessarily the most expected thing from him. We are given a reason for why Gambit is investigating the murder of these 5 women, but by the time it comes, the story is close to being done. It happens in issue 3, so there really isn't much time when you have a 4-issue story. There are a few nice character moments throughout it, though, like Gambit with the cigarette on the plane, or Wolverine's interactions with him in places like the sewer. I think that's pretty fun. Of course, Wolverine's in a sewer, as you would expect if you're a big fan of him. It's not a bad story by any means. It's very okay for its time. It's just not as good as I could envision this being if it had more time given to it. If you're a big fan of either character, I'd say check it out, but it's nothing too crazy. If you have no interest in it, there's nothing exceptional that you're really missing outside of some cool Tim Sale art. So with that being said, I want to thank you for watching or listening this far in the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, all the fun algorithm-related things. If you like any Gambit or Wolverine stories, sound off in the comments. They're 2 of my favorite mutant characters in the entirety of X-Men. If you'd like me to talk about some other Loeb and Sale works, feel free to recommend any in the comments. I'll check it out if you do. And with that being said, I will catch you guys in the next video.